Hello, hello, and welcome back to Retrieving Sanity with your podcast host, Keegan. And this is your podcast for all mental health, addiction, recovery issues, and topics. And today we have a very special guest. His name is Dr. Fred Moss. He is a distinguished psychiatrist, mental health advocate, and innovative thinker. He's got over 40 years of experience in the field, and he's created some pretty awesome stuff, such as Welcome to Humanity and the True Voice course, where he empowers individuals to discover and express their true selves. So, Dr. Fred, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. It's really good to be with you. I love your freshness. I love the way this thing is all set up. I'm looking forward to a robust conversation. So let's make it happen.
Sounds good. I appreciate that. I haven't heard it defined as a robust setup, so that's interesting that you said that. Thank you.
Robust conversation is what I think I mean. Like let's make it happen. And yeah, it's a cool setup you have. I like your backdrop. I like the way the entry into the door of this seemingly Retrieving Sanity podcast is headed for. So let's see what we got.
All right.
Retrieve some sanity.
Sounds good to me. So, Dr. Fred, why don't you tell us a little bit about your backstory? You've got 40 years plus in the field. So
45 now. 45 years plus, actually.
45 plus. That's quite a bit. So
Yeah,
you've got a lot of experience in psychiatry. And is there any special field that you really go into?
Yeah, so we'll kind of have the thing unfold a little bit. I'll give a little backstory before the backstory. And, I was born to be a healer. I was born into a family in chaos and disarray. I had two brothers, 10 and 14 years older than me. So they were already in whatever 10 and 14-year-old boys have with their parents. That was still going on when I arrived. And I was there to bring joy and peace and love and, steadiness to that situation. So, I punched in the clock right on arrival, and I've been healing since that very moment. And I did a pretty good job for a couple years, I was told by both my brothers. And although I wasn't steady for all 67 years, I did pretty good for a while. And I was just remember watching them and my family communicate. I remember watching them talk to each other and thinking that, someday I'm going to be like that maybe. Like if I'm a good boy, or if I grow up strong, if I drink my milk, maybe I'll be like that, something like that. And I thought that they would teach me that in school, I was pretty precocious by the time school started. After all, my brothers taught me everything, so I knew a lot. I knew how to read and how to, I knew how to add and subtract, and I knew a little bit about sex and drugs and rock and roll. I was a 5-year-old little shit, kind of, And I was at for all of elementary school. I talked a lot. I talked a real lot, and so I was too smart for my own good, and I talked a lot, so I got like A, like that. I saw a lot of those report cards that look like that.
Oh, man.
And I was just wanted to communicate. That's really what I wanted. I just really wanted to communicate, really, and am I supposed to learn that in school? And in school, no, they squelched it, There's no such open dialogue and open discourse isn't what's expected in elementary school. Like, no, sit down, shut up, and watch me, and then do exactly what I do if I'm going to pass you to the next grade. So it's disturbing and disappointing. And it's like, okay, well, these kids learned it somewhere. My brothers learned it somewhere. Maybe it's junior high. And it got worse in junior high, and then it got worse again in high school. I'm like, man, this isn't going to happen. So I started doing a lot of things like skipping school, hitchhiking, doing lots of stuff to get out in the real world so I could learn how to communicate.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of, there was other things I did back then too. There was, after all, I do remember those years, sort of. I remember the cloud of those years, if you know what I mean. And
the haze.
Yeah. And then I just thought, well, if it's, because it was only 40 miles away and they had great helmets, I decided to give the University of Michigan a try. And so, that like Go Blue is just grow up like that in Detroit. And so it's like, let's go. And maybe there I'll learn. And I got in engineering. I didn't even know what an engineer was, but I thought he was the dude on the back of a train, I was like, maybe I'll go to engineering school and be able to ring the bell or something,
Yeah, right. Like on the caboose of the train.
Exactly. like Mr. Green Jeans or something. And
Oh yeah.
yeah. And this is Mr. Green Jeans. He would wear this hat probably.
Yeah, it looks fitting.
Yeah, yeah. So I still wanted to learn how to communicate. Didn't really happen and you know, it happened in Ann Arbor, but it didn't happen at the University of Michigan. You know, so it's like Ann Arbor again allowed me to play around in the streets and a little bit. Like that's where I did some pizzeria work. Eventually, I dropped out. It just wasn't going to work. And I, again, want to learn how to communicate, learn about people, learn what's out here, get a grasp of it all. So I got on a bus and went all the way to Berkeley, California. The purpose was to figure out what my life was about. And there I was, there I was. And it was like, well, okay. It was fun for like a month or so, and it was unsustainable. And then there was this new industry that my family was telling me about. And they said I should go back and maybe learn how to do that, that I had the aptitude. You might have heard of the industry. It's called computers.
I mean, we're on them right now, so yeah.
Oh, yeah, I guess we are. And so the only computer that was even in Michigan was at the University of Michigan. So back to school I went, and going to do that. But punch cards, batch jobs, Fortran, COBOL, not going to happen. I got to go. So I dropped out one more time and said I would never go back to school again, actually. And my family's like, well, you got to get a job. So they got me a job at a state mental health facility for adolescent boys. Is
that what you wanted, though?
Well,
you said they got you one.
Well, they got me the application. Yeah,
okay.
I didn't know. I didn't know that working in a state mental health facility for adolescent boys was going to serve this need. That's for sure.
Oh.
It was just the next job that was available. My mom said, "Let's get you a civil service." Actually, there was 2 jobs to choose from. This is how much I didn't know. One was with Clinton Valley Center, the one I'm talking about, and the other one was with the unemployment office, where I could have worked with them as well, worked and helped people get their unemployment benefits. But that job was the job at the state hospital was sooner, and it had a 3-week orientation. So I knew I could get paid full time for all 3 weeks of the orientation.
Yeah. So definitely go
3
with that
paychecks.
one, right?
Yeah, 3 paychecks, man. I buy myself a Volkswagen and drive around the country and see what the life was about. That's all I really wanted. I just wanted to know. I just wanted to know, what is this life about? And so I stayed 3 weeks, and then I was going to quit before going back to the floors. But my friend Paul was like, dude, if you quit, then I'll have to quit. And he gave me some sob story, and it was like, all right, I'll go up. So we went up for another 3 weeks and hung out with the teenagers. And finally, I was getting paid to communicate.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
there you go.
That's what that was. That's all it really was. That was the start. It got lit. Like, oh yeah, that's what they want. That's what the kids want. That's all I'm hired to do. And let's make it happen. I'm a child care worker. Let's communicate. And sure enough, man, it was like healing all over the place. There's lots of cool healing that took place in that place. And I loved the job, but the one thing I hated about the job was psychiatry.
Really?
Why is that? I saw the future of psychiatry. Well, we'd call up the doctor. He's in his call room down the hall somewhere, and we'd call him up when Jimmy and Johnny got in a fight or Timmy was up too late. And he'd come down, he'd talk to the kid for like 3 seconds. He'd talk to us for like 7 seconds, and then he'd go into the nursing office and fill something out in a chart. And then we'd have to go retrieve Jimmy or Johnny and hold them down on the ground in the quiet room while we slid down his sweatpants so that we could give him an injection of some multi-level product that was fully meant to leave him in a stupor. And in fact, if he did stay in a stupor for 24 hours, we would chart that was good response. And
wow.
That shit's happening every day since then, by the way, including today, hundreds of times in this country. Let's just understand that.
Yeah,
That's
sure.
not ancient news. That's today.
Yeah, it's still going on.
Oh, yeah. It didn't slow down. It didn't slow down since those days. I didn't like it. It was barbaric. It was wrong. I didn't like it. And I knew that communication was where it was at. And my brother, 14 years older, was already a doctor. He was already a psychiatrist. So I knew it was possible. I just had to knuckle down, and I'd go in there and maybe save the day or bring communication in or do something. I don't know,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you're here trying to just get communication in, and you're seeing this kind of tyranny essentially going on.
It's just
And
terrible. Yeah.
yeah, it's the exact opposite of what you went into. Well, you didn't necessarily go into that field for that reason,
Well, I
but
wasn't in the field yet, right? So
yeah, yeah.
at this point, it was like, well, let's. And so I went back to school, finished my undergraduate degree while I was finishing at Fairlawn. I was working full time at Fairlawn, finishing my undergraduate degree in Detroit, not at U of M anymore. And then I had, the luck of the draw to get accepted to a really great medical school, and then I went to Northwestern downtown Chicago. It was super awesome. For 5 years I was there, super sweet. And then, before too long, here I am. I'm a psychiatrist, and then a child and adolescent psychiatrist, to say the least. All of a sudden, it wasn't all of a sudden. I get it, but it's just go through all the hoops, and then you come out on the other end. You look like a child and adolescent psychiatrist, and now I'm one of them. And Prozac got initiated while I was in medical school, third year, and so we were the first group that actually got to deal with this paradigmatic shift that came with the introduction of Prozac. A massive paradigmatic shift called chemical imbalance. The whole idea of chemical imbalance grew from that moment. And
I did not know that.
Yeah, and the other thing that grew from that's the whole point. That's when we started blaming people if they felt miserable. If there was something, if you were uncomfortable, that's because you had something wrong with you. That's a Prozac era statement.
Whoa!
That wasn't
I did not realize that.
Yeah.
Huh.
And we have a pill for it. It's like we have an app for it. We have a pill for it, and it's called Prozac. And Prozac made it to the cover of Newsweek all by itself, just the pill. It's almost like the Man of the Year kind of thing. We cover of Time.
Yeah.
It wasn't the Man of the Year, but it was. But it made it to the cover of both of those magazines because it was It was the most interesting drug ever created, and it was the #1 drug sold on the planet for 12 straight years, all specialties included. And there was talk about putting it into the water system of big cities, LA, New York, etc. And changed everything. Now this is in a direction I didn't really support necessarily.
See, and was that something that was like kind of public level, or was that something that was public level?
Well, everybody knew about Prozac. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that last part that you were talking about, putting it in the water.
No, I think I might have been privy to that, given where I was. I don't know. I don't know if it made it to the Detroit Free Press, or if it just made it to the journals, or if it just I'm not sure where it was, but there was talk of it.
Yeah, that's some not great talk.
Well,
if I have to say
we look
so.
at it now because we have a view. It would be great talk. We didn't have the view. That's the thing. Now that you know what medicines do, and you have like a well-ironed view of the scariness of medications that did not exist in 1987 when it was introduced. It was like a panacea. It was the idea was if you felt bad, this will take that away. If we had a drug that actually did that,
everyone would do it. Yeah.
But your skepticism is why you're saying it sounds like it's not a good idea, because you already know what these medicines do inherently. Yeah. But if we had a drug that reliably did that, I'd be in line tomorrow, man. I would let's go. Seriously, you're gonna take away my capacity to feel bad, but nothing else? Okay. See, I'd at least consider it. Let's put it that way. Seriously consider it. Yeah. I mean, it's good to feel bad. I hear you. I know I can talk that language too, but here's the thing. It was like back in as soon as I built a practice, now the typecast doctor was someone who diagnosed and medicated. It was starting to get that way.
Yeah. We
were the only subspecialty allowed to diagnose. Even psychologists couldn't diagnose back in the day. That's watered down, And so, we, as far as prescribing, there was no nurse practitioners or physician assistants, or that isn't how clinical nurse specialists. They did not exist. That was not that. It was us. And people were being brainwashed into believing that if there's something wrong, if there's something uncomfortable in their life, that they have something wrong with them.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pretty good setup. A pretty good setup for a supply and demand. It's a pretty nice setup. It's a pretty nice setup for sure for supply and demand.
It really is.
It really is freaking beautiful, man. It's like I wish I would have been designer of it. That could have worked, but be living in the hills somewhere. But man, that's a cool setup, and it's especially cool because once you step back from the rhetoric, one can see that frequently enough, if not pervasively, these medicines cause the symptoms they're marketed to treat.
Really? Which ones?
They all do.
Each one. Is it because they treat it well enough that eventually it backfires? Or...
Well, the medicines don't really do what they say they're going to do.
Okay.
So instead, what the medicines do is perpetuate the condition at the same time giving a subjective sense of relief, maybe, from some things. But at the same time causing so much damage in the meantime. And then we don't know what we're missing anymore. If you no longer can hear something, you don't know that you can't hear it.
Yeah.
Right? If all of a sudden you can't hear something, it's not like you could identify unless someone told you that thing was going on over there. You don't know what you no longer have.
Yeah, you don't know what you don't know.
You don't know what you no longer have. That's even more precisely. Yes, you don't know what you don't know, and you don't know what you no longer have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very similar to being in active addiction, because I didn't know what I once lost.
Exactly.
So getting into recovery, it's finding those things, and it's like, oh, hey. So are you saying that people on those medications, once they get off, will have that same kind of feeling?
It's a really interesting question. I appreciate that question a lot. And here's what I think about what you're saying. When I'm successful in helping somebody, I'm the undoctor, right? There's one thing. I'm the undoctor. So I undiagnose, unmedicate, and undoctrinate people, right?
Uh-huh.
Meaning, undoctrinate's not a word, but it's good enough, It's like, it says what it says.
Yeah.
Like, don't come in here. Really, I'm at the door, don't come in here. It's all good. You did a good choice to get here, now you don't want to come into the nightclub. Don't do it.
Sounds like a good idea to me. Because, I mean, you've already heard my idea, my feelings on medications. I don't necessarily like them, but, I mean, if I need them, I need them, right?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, maybe, and that's the thing, is that you're the kind of guy that's going to sit there and go, maybe we don't. And that's holistic healing in, the best form possible.
Not chill. I'm not asking for chilling. I don't chill. That's not how I work. I look like, it's not like chill. It's like, let's not make you worse and have you think you're better. Let's not make you worse and have you think you're better, if we can help that. And so
I like that.
Yeah. That's what we like to help. That's what I'm saying. So, if it was just neutral, or if it was reliably a helper, if it didn't have such significant problems associated with it, I'd give it away. I would.
Really?
I'd stand up on the street corner. I don't have a problem with it, man. If it did all the right shit, I'd be all over it, man. I'd be all over it. I don't have anything. This isn't a political statement. It's a statement that these things aren't even Band-Aids. More often than not, they're like a Band-Aid with a razor blade embedded in the middle of it,
So how exactly does it do the opposite of what they're marketed to do?
It's the only thing it's meant to do. It actually is the first chemical imbalance that you have. You're hoping that it does the opposite, as a matter of fact. You're hoping that it does the opposite of... Look, if I want to give somebody a panic attack, just start them on some benzos. They'll never had a panic attack before. They'll have one soon.
Yeah, I mean...
That's a great example.
Yeah, I was on Xanax for years, and let me tell you...
Good for you.
Yeah, so it's one of those things that, like... I can definitely tell you the differences. Part of me is like, I would like that anti-anxiety pill again.
100%.
But at the same time, I do know what it was like going from being on them regularly to not, and that stress level was insane getting off. And then now that I'm tapered off, it's definitely relaxing, but there's moments where it's like,
Perfect.
hey, I remember how good it felt.
You're pretty authentic. I got you. I hear you.
Yeah.
The one thing that's happened for me, I've seen 30 or 40,000 patients, and who have at least called me their doctor for a moment in time, and I have the opportunity to be able to kick the tires about somebody of what what their experience is, and I hear your authenticity loud and clear. Thank you.
Of course. But one of the things that I'm curious about is it sounds like they're essentially a placebo effect, but one that actually does the job it's trying to do, in a sense. Does that make sense?
I'm not sure exactly. Let me try it again. I think that it's not a placebo effect.
Mm-hmm.
It does something.
Mm-hmm.
Here, let me give you a quick example. Inside of this, don't know what you don't know stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say you came to me, you're like, Fred, man, I got a mosquito bite on my elbow.
Okay. I got a
nagging
mosquito bite.
Nagging the shit out of me. I'm like, I can't sleep. I can't think of anything else. It's getting bigger. It's just a bummer,
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, good to tell me. I have a specialist. I know a specialist who actually handles elbow mosquito bites for a living. Out in Pasadena, go on to see him. So, sure enough, what city are you in? Where are we? Where are you?
I'm in Texas, over in Garland.
Arlington?
Garland.
Oh, Darland. Okay. my son's down in Dallas, and he's a UT grad. Anyways,
I got a bad mosquito bite.
So you go get this mosquito bite guy, right? And you show up at the door. Let's just say it's in Dallas, okay? And then you go over there, and you're like, you drive, and you get there, and the guy answers the door. He's got a white coat and a stethoscope and little half glasses down his nose, well shaved, and he's got, white office, sliding glass doors, receptionist. The gig. He's got a little bit of. Maybe some of his degrees, and he's got the whole thing going on, right?
That's snazzy.
Funky art he got at a local, the guy.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, you must be the one Dr. Fred sent. And I said, yeah, that's right. And say, let's see what you got. And he sends you back. You roll up your sleeve. He takes out his magnifying glass. He checks it out. He's like, whoa, my friend, you got a mosquito bite. And you're like,
yeah,
I know. Like, well, you've come to the right place. I got a 100% cure rate.
Cool.
Let's do it. I'm in. And he says the thing some doctors at least supposedly say, which is, all right, it's only going to hurt for a minute. And you're like, okay, let's make it happen.
Yeah.
And he takes out a saw and saws off your arm at the shoulder.
Oof. Well, he wasn't lying.
Exactly. And 100% cure rate.
Yeah, I don't have the mosquito bite anymore. That's true.
That's right. Exactly. That's how psychiatric medicines work.
Huh. Interesting.
Exactly. You lose way more than you're paying attention to.
So, that is very, what's insidious? Is that the word I'm looking for?
Insidious is a good one. Yeah, I see. Insidious means kind of slow consuming.
Is that why it usually takes 4 to 6 weeks before any of them start actually working?
That's
because
any of the company rhetoric. There's 4 or 6 weeks. They want you to stay on it 4 or 6 weeks because at that point you'll have the condition that it supports you continuing to use the medicine.
So it is.
It does
a
both
setup.
things. It's I don't know that anyone's sitting in some high chair somewhere making sure that every drug does this.
But
I'm pretty sure that the conditions get worse slowly, insidiously after starting to take the medicine. Depression gets worse after. That's why the doses have to increase. It has nothing to do with your body getting used to it. It has to do with the fact that it got worse. It got worse. And it got worse because that's what the medicine is meant to do. It's like an appetizer. You know, appetizers taste good, but they make you hungry. It's the same kind of thing. And Food and Drug Administration they're in the same administration for a good reason.
Yeah.
They both call McDonald's food, for instance.
Yeah.
That's a stretch.
Yeah, that is a stretch. So the way that I'm kind of picturing these medicines working now is essentially if there was a sinkhole in the middle of a street, someone trying to throw concrete in the middle of it instead of trying to actually take care of what's around the sinkhole from making it worse. Is that kind of sort of right?
I know I've heard that theory before. That isn't exactly how I see it. Look, there's a good group of people, and I'm sure some of your listeners, given what your take is, a good group of people who are pretty sure that they really like their diagnosis. Thank God they have it. They really like their therapy. They really like their treatment plan. They really like their medicine. They're really happy for the growth of the mental health industry, which, and they wouldn't change anything at all. And what I have to say to those people is please keep doing exactly what you're doing. 100%. And if, in fact, you reach that place anywhere else in your life where you wouldn't trade it for anything, by all means, man, that is such a wonderful find in this life. That you've reached the pinnacle where you wouldn't trade that for a thing. That's so cool. And you should keep doing that. This conversation's for the tens of millions of people who feel like they've been misdiagnosed, underdiagnosed, overdiagnosed, mistreated, undertreated, overtreated, mismedicated, overmedicated, undermedicated. That's what this conversation's for.
Yeah.
But those who are satisfied with how things are going, maybe this isn't even your podcast. It's okay with me, Maybe it's not, I'm like, I get it. And I'm not here to argue that at all. I am seriously down with you having reached a pinnacle. I wish I would have reached a place like that somewhere in my life.
Oh, I'm still not there. That's the thing.
Well, you chase it down through the psychopharmacological, algorithms, which go on and 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 go on after that for a little bit longer before they go on some more. That's what they have. That's how those algorithms go.
And now you're the undoctor, so you're trying to just cut it right there, right?
It's not a matter of cut. It's not a matter of cut. It's a matter of getting that maybe there was nothing wrong with you in the first place.
Ooh, I really like that. So how would you propose that to someone like me that has had diagnoses for years?
I got you have diagnoses, and then you bought the diagnosis, and then you thought you had it. I totally got that.
Yeah,
I'm cool. But maybe you didn't have anything wrong with you then either.
Yeah, so how would you convince me or someone else that wasn't necessarily the case?
Exactly, because life is hard, dude.
Yeah.
Because life is hard. It's really hard, and none of us have a manual. And when you're walking and bumbling and tumbling and stumbling through this world trying to figure out what the hell anything means, what you should do next, should you be terrified? Are there 100 reasons to be terrified?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. How long would it take us to list 100? Like 4 minutes.
Yeah, probably less.
Is there 100 reasons to be nervous, anxious?
Yeah.
Okay, how long would it take us to come up with 100? Maybe 3.5 minutes?
About that, yeah.
Okay, how about depressed? Is there 100 reasons to be depressed in this world?
Probably.
Probably really easy. How long would it take us to come up with 100? I don't know. If we take a break, about 4 minutes.
Yeah.
Life is hard. And knowing that there's something wrong with you is absolutely hardwired into our being. Each one of us knows there's something wrong with us. In fact, you could say that if you know there's something wrong with you, that only shows that there isn't.
Why? Because if you weren't able to notice that there was something wrong with you, that would be something.
No,
even
you don't.
worse.
You might not notice it, but the truth is, anyone who thinks there's nothing wrong with me. It's not really the case. They're already comparing. I mean, we all are comparing our insides to what we think is normal on the outside, and we're checking it out. And there's areas where there's not a good match. What those folks are doing aren't what I'm being, or something like that. And I'm not like that, So we think there's something wrong with us. It's really ubiquitous that we think there's something wrong with us.
So one of the things that I'm kind of hearing is that we might be in the wrong environment whenever we get this diagnosis or something. Sometimes changing the people we're around, our support system, changing the situations we're in, maybe that could actually alleviate some of the symptoms that maybe could bring about a diagnosis for someone.
Well, that's an interesting thing. I think that environment and social network is super critical in creating who we are. Who we're with, do we spend time just surviving? Do we spend time listening and not talking? Do we spend time dominating? Do we spend time, you know, enjoying the same things? Do we spend time arguing the same things? These create whatever it is we then think about ourselves during that process. Things get shaken up, whatever we think, including that this was fantastic,
Yeah.
So, especially in the world of addiction, that's a common thing. Is that you're gonna change your ways, you're gonna lose some friends. That's the way that goes, dude. That's just the way it goes.
Yeah.
You're gonna change your ways, you're gonna lose some friends.
Mm-hmm.
And there's going to be friends that you thought you loved, and they're going to be friends that you were homies, and you had your back in the hood, and all of that, and you got to let them go.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're going to change your ways, they can't stay in that life with you.
Yeah.
And so, that's an important piece, is changing your environment, changing your toxic friendships that you may have not always thought were toxic even. The dude would pick up my dope. Yeah, why would I be mad at him?
So, toxic friendships, or relationships for that matter, also sound like they could be one of those things where you don't know what you don't have anymore, right? A relationship could essentially sever a communication line that you really needed, that could have been your lifeline out of something. So our assumptions, and then who we hang out with, what we listen to, what we eat, what we drink, what we see, what we hear, what we smell, even what we breathe, because smelling and breathing are related. Affects how we see the world, for sure. And so whenever we're seeing the world, in some ways, hang on, let me see. So everyone's worldview is entirely different. And so a diagnosis is not necessarily the best way to go about defining some people. Would you agree with that?
It's never the best way to define anyone.
So labels, do you think that labels actually help or actually make things worse?
If I had to choose one of those two, I would say they make things worse, for sure. But I think people like having them, and mostly people that explains why I'm such a jerk.
Why is that? Why? Because
you can say stuff all of a sudden, and people say it. That wasn't me. That was my ADD. That wasn't me. That's my bipolar. That wasn't me. That's my narcissist. That's my social anxiety. That's my PTSD. That's my Asperger's syndrome. Did you know I was on the spectrum? That's my narcissism. That's my antisocial personality disorder. That's my postpartum depression. That's psychosis.
But does for those people that need to bring that up, don't you think that sometimes that's their way of defending other people, defending themselves, because people don't understand them?
Yeah,
and that's the only.
I don't think it's valuable. I think it closes the doors of what. All of a sudden, they have a part of them that they're no longer going to work on it very hard because they think the condition justifies its continued existence.
Ooh, I really like that.
Good.
That is a very interesting idea, and it's something that I've kind of tinkered with in my own head, but I don't know what I don't know, so I've never been able to bounce it off of a wall.
Yeah.
So it seems that those aspects, those labels, could essentially be a personality of their own, right?
They are. They're an identity, 100%. When you say, how to qualify or whatever you said earlier, that question, it was like, they become an identity, and it's very restrictive. I'm a
So,
bipolar all of a sudden actually dictates how I'm going to manage life. This is what a bipolar me would do.
yeah, bipolar me would either flip off the wall or not do anything,
Or
you know?
something, whatever bipolar me allows me to be, because they called me bipolar because I took 8 Xanax. They called me a bipolar because I overspent on my credit card. They called me a bipolar because I had 3 affairs on my wife. Okay, really? I call you you.
Yeah, and see, that's one of the things too, is that I think a lot of people are really trying to tie their decisions, their morals with their labels of sorts, and it doesn't really work that way because, I mean, your decision is a decision. Morals are morals. So, a psychiatric disorder, now there are some that whenever someone is in deep psychosis, they are way out of their mind. So, I'd say that that person, well, from my understanding, they're way out of their mind. So they wouldn't really have the best understanding of things, but someone that has ADHD just has trouble concentrating, supposedly. But, hang on. No, that train left the station.
All right. Yeah, psychosis and ADHD. Yeah.
Yes. Um. Hmm. Um.
Yeah, this idea. Yeah, you
Yes.
halted. You stepped in front of yourself inside of
Yes, I did.
supposedly ADHD, and then qualifying this notion of psychosis. At least that what I was told. That's kind of things. Psychosis is a really funny one. They're both very funny. Both those conditions. Every condition is really funny. Every condition is very funny. But these two have specific funny, like psychosis is the understanding that there's a reality called an agreement reality that you no longer agree with. And therefore you have a reality that's outside of the reality that we all think is real. And therefore we call you psychosis for being out of the box at looking at the world in a different way than we look at it, or than we allow people to say we look at it. So psychosis becomes really juicy all of a sudden because it pretends that there's something called reality that we can otherwise define. And if that's just really interesting. It's really interesting. Now, there's drugs out there that'll screw up your head, including for sure the antipsychotics.
Yeah.
You take those, you're about to be psychotic. As I've said before, that's the whole point. It causes the symptoms it's marketed to treat. That's why. It does.
So, real quick on that, can you ever reverse it once you stop it?
Yeah, you can reverse it, and I mean, it's hard to tell. There's the regenerative aspect of our vital force is beyond imagination extraordinary.
Really?
Yeah, that's why you're still alive. It's why you did all the shit you've done in your life, and you're still sitting here.
I mean,
dude,
you've got a very good point.
I know.
Yeah. So,
let's really look at that. You don't have to be surprised about it. Just honor the fucking truth, if you will.
Yeah.
You have a regenerative miracle called you.
Yeah. It is definitely something that has me scratching my brain every now and again, wondering how, because...
Exactly. It's outside your realm of imagination. That's what I called it, unimaginable. Yep. We have that.
Real quick, I just want to point out that you just made the best, way to grasp unimaginable for me.
Good.
I don't know why, but for some reason that just made it click. So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. That's what I meant. It's like this is beyond our mind. We think our mind actually knows everything that there is to know, or everything that is, necessary, or everything that is, and we don't know. We don't know jack, man. We don't know anything. We don't even know the stuff that we know that we know.
Ooh,
we don't even know that stuff. We especially don't know the stuff that we know that we know. It becomes all that happened when we know that we know something is we become really dangerous about it.
I like that you pointed that out because I think that that's the best way to really describe it whenever I really think about it. Because whenever I know something, that's whenever I get dangerous with it.
Yeah,
Because if I don't know something about it, I'll stay away from it. But if I
exactly.
know about it, then I'll decide to tinker with it.
Exactly. And then if you know that you know it, if you like, it's a new level of knowing. There's the
Mm-hmm.
stuff that you know, and you're like, if someone else doesn't know it, you can still excuse them.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's the stuff that you know, and now you no longer can excuse anybody for not knowing what you know that you know. And
Mm-hmm.
so you're like, you know that you know it, and you no longer can just feel sorry for somebody who doesn't know what you know you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's more serious than that. You might have to disregard them as a friend.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
unfortunate. Like they actually seriously don't know the things that you think you know that you know.
Mm-hmm.
That's grounds for dismissal, man.
That is, and that's where a lot of fights and miscommunication really happen, isn't it?
Knowing that you know something is just not that big of a gift. That's for sure.
Uh, would you say that that's ego and pride getting in the way?
I see the question, and I think ego and pride are intermeshed with this concept. I just think
Mm-hmm.
that ego and pride are very vague, both very vague words as well.
This is true. Um.
So I just think we find things to link onto,
Mm-hmm.
and if the people around us already think that that's what's so, then we feel more comfortable believing that.
Oh. Hmm.
If the people around us already think they know that they know that which we now think we know that we know,
Mm-hmm.
that's solid support for continuation that you know what you know.
Ah. There we go. Okay. So that's how a lot of the groups end up making groups
And that's
in the
pretty
first
much
place.
right. If you want to be around like-minded people, what you're really
Mm-hmm.
looking for is the people who think that they know what they know,
Mm-hmm.
and that what they know that they know is compatible with what you think you know that you know.
So how does that go with the saying, if you think you're the smartest person in the room, you need to find another room?
I think that when you're not the smartest person in the room, when you can get that, you have everything to learn from everybody in the room
Ooh. Yeah.
because
I
you don't
like
know
that.
anything. You don't know anything, and you can learn from the people in the room. So if you're the
Mm-hmm.
smartest guy in the room, you think everybody should learn from you.
Yep. And that's not the way it needs to
It's
go.
not the way things go. I mean, it's the way things. You want to make it go that way, you can make it go that way, but you missed an opportunity.
I think you're missing out on life if someone really tries to go that way.
Yeah, I think
And
so.
yeah, and that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to bring people back to actual life, right?
I don't know. Am I trying to bring people there? I look.
You're at least trying to heal them.
I'm trying to enter a dance of healing where we both can heal. It's just a dude over there. It's just another person. If we dance like me and you are doing a reasonable job in dancing, then we both get to heal in a conversation. I want to do that with everybody. I don't give a hoot what your previous diagnosis was. That just does not bother me.
Mm-hmm.
I know how you got that diagnosis. You showed up and you said some buzzwords. You tell me your diagnosis and I'll tell you what you said. And that's it. That's how it went, and then you
Mm-hmm.
agreed that you had that diagnosis and then you took it with you and then you did what you did and you think what you think and you say what you say and you believe what you believe and I don't need to change that. I'm just
Mm-hmm.
saying
Yeah,
I
and
see you as a person and someone told you some words and you decided to wear them like a tattoo and okay, all right, no problem.
mm-hmm. And so, but that's one of the things, though, is that I don't necessarily like those labels.
No,
And
none of the
those,
people who wear them like them.
well, those are some of the things that I actually aim to help not, I was about to say eradicate. That's not the right word. Something that I want to mitigate on those symptoms that I get from those labels. I am actively trying to work on it. And one of those things that bothers me is that I am on some medications, so now I'm going to second guess myself on some of them.
Yeah,
But
sorry about that.
no, it's fine because I've always been so cautious about them that I'm on thankfully low dosages, and they keep trying to like up them, and I'm like, no, we're not going to do that. So that's really good to know. Maybe that's why some of my memory is a little bit messed up because I missed my afternoon medication. So
Maybe why what's messed up?
my memory,
Oh,
that train left the building.
I see. Maybe.
Yeah,
Maybe.
I've always,
Maybe not. Maybe it's just you being human.
yeah. I mean, this is true. I've always had.
It's entirely possible that you're just human.
Yeah, I mean, if it were so easy, why does it have to get so complicated?
Being human is flipping crazy complicated, man. It's crazy
The hu-
complicated. It's crazy complicated. And if
That
you
human
just-
condition.
it's just complicated.
Mhm.
You know, we talked about just the phenomena of me, you, and my last podcast. You know, it's like just that silly example. It's not like we were born on Earth to manage that fragmentation that is required to be comfortable and to me to be here with you and okay with it. All the crazy stuff that happens with me staring at, I don't know, 1,000,000 pixelated lights pretending to talk to a person. There's no person here. I'm staring at a flippant screen. Back when I was in psychiatry, you know, in I finished medical school in 88, so I'd say, yeah, maybe 87, maybe around the Prozac times when I was doing rotations. If we saw somebody talking to a TV, that was grounds. That was grounds for involuntary hospitalization.
Oh, yeah.
And now,
I mean,
now if you can't talk to a TV, it's grounds for involuntary hospitalization.
I mean,
Dude,
yeah,
that's the way the diagnoses have gone. You see that they're so fluid. There's
that
no
is true.
hard. It's just like ridiculous. That's the same diagnosis. It used to be that seriously, if you talk to a TV and you thought it was talking back to you, we're pulling you in. And now, if you actually can't talk to a TV, like this, like me and you are
Yeah.
doing,
Uh-huh.
you risk being pulled in again.
That's so strange. And I mean, from the DSM-4 to DSM-5, weren't there some classifications or diagnoses that got combined, and some people didn't like that or something like that?
I think the whole DSM series is.
Exactly, because
ludicrous.
like you said,
It's all
it's
ludicrous.
fluid. Yeah, it's.
I don't
the-
distinguish. I'm not. You know, I diagnose when I have to. I've diagnosed, or at least confirmed diagnoses of over 30,000 people in my life, but none of them have been with my heart and soul in it.
Really,
No,
because it wasn't
because I want
the way
to
that.
see a person.
Yeah.
Just a person. Just a person. They got some substantial weaknesses and substantial strengths, and they're doing their very best with the limits that they have, or they're not doing their best sometimes with the limits that they have, and they're just bumbling, stumbling, and tumbling, or they feel hopeless or helpless or concerned or worried or regretful or resentful or angry or afraid or distracted or awkward. Dude, welcome to humanity, really. Really. Isn't it so much better for me to just get you than to label you as different and therefore like pathologically diagnosable?
Yeah, it would be nice if everyone were able to approach and accept other people with
Yeah.
that same mindset.
Well, it's possible.
And how, in your eyes, how do we get to that point?
It's really a matter of unlearning.
Unlearning. But
Yeah.
isn't that really difficult?
What?
Isn't that really difficult to unlearn? Because
Well, difficult or not, it's still a matter of unlearning. Here's the thing: you just there's a person. Every time you sit with a person, that just remind yourself, oh yeah, this is a person. That's all. There's your trick. Every time you're with a person, remind yourself, oh, this is a human being with all the human being flaws associated with being a human. Totally struggling to get through this incredibly freaking crazy world. Every single day has no idea. Has designed whatever he's designed that's outside of my, maybe it's a little bit outside of my range of what I think normal is. I have a very limited range of what I'm willing to call normal. Very limited. It's extremely limited. And if that person is outside of that, he better watch out.
You make a really good point on that, because my experience is I had this conversation with someone a while back, was that even though I like to consider myself open-minded, I'm still very closed-minded.
Thank you
at
for
the same
noticing
time.
that, of course.
Yeah, because yeah, exactly. Like, I want to accept and be as open as I can, but I know that there are some very hard limitations on some things that will not let me pass that.
That you choose not to pass. It's not
True.
Not that
Exactly.
it doesn't stop you. You stop you by considering that the way you consider it, and have that be an obstacle that's uncrossable.
And see, it's all in the language, the way that I spoke it out, that really shows the beliefs in there.
Yeah.
So
Always
that way,
Yeah.
and so you can actually sit there and listen to people, the way they speak, and point it out, and so that they can go, oh, hey, maybe I can do it this way. Because you're really just communicating with people, is what I'm hearing. Whenever
My very best.
yeah,
Not
whenever
perfect
you're,
at it.
well, but no one is
Right.
perfect at anything. Like, I like to tell people, there's nothing perfect in life, not even death, because we can bring people back from death now, right?
I guess so.
So there's no perfect anything, but we can refine our skills incredibly. And you seem to have refined communication, and that's speaking, listening, and more importantly, just accepting.
Connecting.
Connecting, yeah. A lot of people that I speak with outside of the podcast, of course, don't really have that connecting aspect, because I think one thing they're trying to do is stay inside of a box.
It's really important. It's really important that your acquired team, that your tribe continues to accept you as a member. And most people will do flips and turns and somersaults to make sure that they don't get kicked off the island, and they really want to do whatever they can to stay in the group, to the point of not saying things when they know they should, or saying things when they know that they shouldn't, or even more extremely, actually saying things that even they don't believe. Dude, what kind of world have we come to that's a good plan?
Yeah, no, it's not a good plan.
What is that? What is that?
I don't know. Yeah.
You're saying something out loud that even you don't believe? Oh, what is that? That's so twisted. That's such a manifestation of maximum fracture. See, our whole life have learned how to be someone that we're not in order to protect the person that we are. We've all bought into this example. Like, when did we learn? For instance, I learned it in kindergarten when, Miss Monroe told me to shut up.
Yeah.
I'm like, Fred, shut up already. Fred, you're making too much noise. You're a nuisance. You're a behavior problem. You're, conduct issue, whatever they said, because I was so curious. And I was really funny too. So being really funny, really smart, really curious, and talking a lot, that kid who was in your elementary school, I was like that guy,
Yeah.
And, people don't have that curiosity like they, Like we end up sitting still and being a good student and calling that ourselves. When it's really not ourselves. It's someone that we learn to be in order to get through the curriculum. The curriculum of life as well as the curriculum of school.
Yeah.
The crack in the sidewalk got deeper and deeper and deeper, and we never went back and fixed it. And so many of us are pretending to be a person that we're not in order to protect the person that we are. If you don't speak your voice, no one will hear you. And if you don't speak your true voice, then no one will know you.
That is very true.
It's very true.
And I like how you said true voice versus voice, because there is a difference there.
Oh yes, for sure. We see it every day.
We are near the end of this episode, unfortunately.
Yeah.
For recording wise, so real quick, do you got any shout outs that you'd like for the audience to hear?
Yeah, maybe there's nothing wrong with you.
Nothing wrong.
Maybe there's nothing wrong with you. Just maybe. Even feeling freaking crazy miserable, totally terrified, completely helpless, completely nervous, completely resentful, totally regretful, totally lazy, disinterested, isolated. Maybe that doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. Maybe those are just experiences, thoughts, and feelings that you're having. Welcome them. Keep walking. Be human. Maybe there's nothing wrong with you. No kidding. Like, no joke. Now, if you really want to know that there's something wrong with you, that's okay. You probably already have been given the stamp of approval that you have the thing that's wrong with you. You can definitely own that, agree with it, hug it, embrace it, be it, all that. And if that's working for you, I really do mean it's good for you. Good for you, and thank God. People who believe that it's helping are dead serious about it. Thank God. I'm not here to argue. No kidding.
Yeah. Yeah, because you're just here to help heal.
Yeah. If it's important to know that you have a deficiency or a disorder, okay. Maybe you don't anyways. Even though you know that you do, and that person says, yeah, maybe you don't. It's okay. Maybe you do.
And
maybe you don't. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I was just going to say, a deficiency could literally change day to day, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Minute by minute.
So, and that's one of the things that a lot of people don't realize. So, even if you're on the medication, it still fluctuates like crazy.
No, more on medicine, but that's a different podcast.
Ooh. Well, if that's a different conversation, can we expect to see you on the show in the future?
Sure, I'd love to come back. It'd be a pleasure. Anytime.
Sweet. Because I would love to hear more about finding my true voice, helping other people find their true voice through asking you what a true voice is in your experience and all that.
Well, Henry David Thoreau, he said the mass of men go through life in quiet desperation and go to their graves with their songs still in them. And that's what he's addressing. And it might be life's most tragic truth. Can you imagine getting through life and having nobody actually know you?
I think I've gotten a good portion of the way there at some point.
Yeah, me too.
So,
that's what we do. That's why he said the mass of men. This is not like occasionally a man. This is like the dudes.
The
like
mass.
We dudes.
Yeah. And thankfully, I think that we're breaking out of that and we're helping break that cycle.
Well, good for
you.
A
little bit.
It's good. Yeah, that's all you can do. And have good conversations and tap on the shells and see where there's pay dirt and gold nuggets, and don't lie to yourself. And just because you're stumbling, bumbling, tumbling, and uncomfortable still doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I mean, literally, I was trying to come up with some analogy about nature and animals tumbling, bumbling around, because
No, it's a great, we have these 3 felines who live with us, and they're our, homeschool teachers,
mm-hmm.
and Desposito, Valentino, and Winston, and they teach me every day. It's like they're not, Valentino, he's got like a little miserable edge, and Desposito's like, so focused and right on and catches everything, and Winston just a playful little dude,
Mm-hmm.
and they're not that worried about the news. They're not that worried about conflicts with each other. They get they have little cat fights here and there that are hilarious, and then they're sleeping together like a half hour later,
Mm-hmm.
And so animals can teach us a lot about what's really so and what we make up. We make up a lot. Like almost every trouble we have,
Uh-huh.
we made up.
I mean, it does really sound like it. The more I think about it, the more I dive into it, the more I dive into myself, the more it's more like, yeah, I think that was someone's idea of trying to make me their idea of me. And
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
yeah, and it doesn't really, it makes me feel uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yeah.
But with that being said, Dr. Fred, it has been absolutely awesome having you on. I'm looking forward to speaking with you next time. And boy, oh boy, oh boy, this was an awesome conversation.
I'm glad. I'm glad you enjoyed it. It was super fun. Thanks for being so authentic, as I said, and showing
Of
some
course.
colors. I think your listeners probably know your colors a little, and I think your colors are, isn't it refreshing if I just treat you as Keegan, another dude?
Yeah.
Isn't there something just like super cool about that?
Yeah. And I mean, there's something super cool about being able to talk to you, someone that has a title in front of their name, and it's not me trying to get a diagnosis and a prescription.
Right.
It's just having a conversation about being human. And
Right.
that's the kind of conversations that this world needs. So,
Yeah, what
I'm-
kind of conversations even rival that conversation? What you got anything more important than treating somebody like a human? Please let me know.
I mean, treating more people like humans?
There you go. So that's just referencing the people who, for now, you're not quite treating as a human. And, even he is a human. Even they are human. Even she is human. Even you are human. And, when you really get that, we literally don't know what the hell we're talking about. We literally don't know what we're talking about. We definitely don't know what we think we know. And
Yeah.
we definitely don't know what we know that we know. We know for sure we don't know that.
Uh-huh.
But we're dangerous when we got this know that we know stuff.
Yep. Whenever I am absolutely certain that I know it,
You're
that
in
is
trouble,
the-
dude. You are danger. You are danger
Yep.
to everyone. And you.
Yep.
You're in violent danger.
Yeah. And that goes literally with everything.
Everything.
So,
So that's very
Sometime-
courageous, And on the back end of addiction, whatever programs you've done or whatever stepping you've done or whatever, support groups you've done or whatever you do here, that, you know, that natural sort of powerlessness and surrender that allows for you to like throw in all the cards. I'll take 52, please. Kind of thing.
Yeah.
How many? 3, 2, 52. I'm in. 52.
Yeah.
I'll take 52 cards. When you can do that, when you can get close to taking 52 cards, then you can start learning from beginner's mind with that new hand you got.
Beginner's mind. And that is something that I'm always striving to get to, but I think, and it's a little bit of a paradox, don't you think, whenever it's like, I've got beginner's mind. No, I don't have beginner's mind because I know I have beginner's mind.
Exactly, that's the way it goes. You got to be really careful about, you know, it's the same thing. It's just like, you know, if you see Buddha on the road, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. You're like, no, actually you don't, because you just thought you did for a moment, which means you don't. Yeah, so it's all right, and the only way to have it is to know, is to kind of not know that you do, and you can't control what you don't know. So it is kind of a Cohen a little bit, and when I can get to some sort of even warmth or like cocoon that points to the idea that I don't know anything, including and especially the stuff that I know that I know. There's just some massive freaking freedom sitting there. Massive. Like
unimaginable.
Unimaginable. 1,000,000%. Exactly.
And it takes a lot of work to get there, though, doesn't it?
Not really. You know how long it takes to get there?
2 seconds.
Nanosecond. I was going to get 2 seconds seems... You must have taken a break on the way in.
Yeah. Yeah, just like whenever we were writing out the list of things to be depressed and anxious about.
Yeah.
Just taking a little bit of a break. But if it's so easy to get there, why don't we?
I didn't say it was easy, and
it's
just not
quick
difficult.
to get there.
It's not easy or difficult. Those are both thoughts. Either do it or you don't. You can. It's almost a Yoda thing. You can even.
Yeah.
You can. Look, it's like. You know, you just flip the switch. It's like, okay, well, at least I know this. Well, no, you don't. Okay, but then at least I know that. No, you actually don't know that yet. Okay, but then I at least know this. And you're like, no, actually you don't know that yet. Okay, but how about this one that everybody knows? No, you don't know that one either.
Just flip the switch.
So that's what when the less things that you know, the more powerful is your capacity to learn.
Yeah, it's kind of like having data on a memory card.
Yeah.
Maybe?
Yeah, a little bit. But not just for the space, but for... If I know something and then you tell me something that's against what I know, then I won't learn what it is that you had to say.
Oh, because it goes against what?
I've already blocked it. Because I know what I know. And if you deliver something that you think you know, or that you're wondering about, or whatever, you deliver anything, and it flies against any part of what I know, then I now no longer can pay proper attention to learning what it is that you had to say, because I already have rejected what you have to say because you said something that's different than what I know.
And how does someone pinpoint whenever someone has gone against what they've necessarily believed in the first place, even though they're wanting to fit in?
What do you mean? So they've gone against what they believe? What is that?
I'm trying to think of a good example. Oh no, it actually ties back into what you were saying earlier. People will go through extremes to fit in with
Yeah, they'll
their
say stuff
people.
that they don't even believe. Yeah.
Hmm. It's weird how all this ties back in on itself, one after another.
Is it
Um,
the knot in the middle of the sweater seems to be communication and connection to me.
yeah, because at the end of the day, it really is just treating another person like another person.
So it's in the end of the day, little Freddie in the playpen,
Uh huh.
he knew that.
Huh. That's so cool.
You knew it
And
too. You knew it in your playpen too. You had to be unlearned. You had to have that upended somewhere.
yeah, and man, it.
You came out treating humans like humans until you heard stories.
Yeah, I mean, you got a good point.
You came
So
out treating humans like humans. And his name is Adolf. You don't care.
yeah,
You just can't. You're treating humans like humans until you're told stories and you realize that you're supposed to put something in between you and thinking these are just humans.
good point. Good point. Because a name is a name until you put experience and knowledge with a name.
Well, no, stories. You call it experience
Stories.
and knowledge, but it's really just translates to stories.
Yes. Experience would be someone that actually went through.
Yeah.
Not so. Yeah. If
And now
I had
you said
experience.
experience and knowledge, and it's like, well, not knowledge, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Knowledge
Because
is just knowing. It's back to knowing. That's what knowledge
Yeah.
is.
back to knowing. So you either know or you don't know.
No, you don't know.
You don't know. You just got to keep it as don't know.
I don't.
All right, gotta
Exactly.
keep it in my head that
We
I
know.
don't know.
That's right, exactly. And we all know as humans how comfortable it is to get
Mm-hmm.
to knowing. In fact, that's how we got our green check marks in math in 9th, 10th, 11th grade. We knew. And then I know
Mm-hmm.
what 2 plus 2 is. I know the square root of 9. I know it. I know it.
Yeah.
I know. Oh, I know. And we were rewarded for that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like the square root of 9 isn't 3, by the way. I'm not suggesting that it's false. I'm just suggesting that the whole thing can be adjusted so that the square root of 9 isn't 3. That's not that hard to do.
Mm-hmm.
Just change a couple of the rules that are here to change.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden that's not true, like things aren't true like that anymore.
Yeah.
And we don't know what we know, and most of what we think we know is built on other stuff that we didn't know we knew. It's built on the foundation of a bunch of knowledge that we have just bought as being true and then built a foundation on. But nobody has ever known anything in some ways.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of my knowledge is either third, fourth, fifth, or sixth hand. So a lot of my knowledge isn't first-hand experience.
Dude, you could have read it in an encyclopedia and you still don't know it. You see, that's my point. It could be, it doesn't like it's okay, and it's really okay. It's even pleasant. It's terrific freedom to buzz by not knowing anything.
Yeah, I kind of skimmed that road a little bit too much before.
Too much, maybe. I don't know.
Well, maybe not knowing too much, but rather wishing that I wasn't able to think, if that makes sense.
That's just a thought, just a wish.
Yeah,
That's
just
not. There's nothing.
it's very self-limiting, though.
Well, only if you call it that.
It was in the past, so I would agree that it was.
All right. Well, then I get it, and you start looking at. You have been at the helm of this thing the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
You get to define the storylines around these experiences.
Okay. So
Not
things
sure
that
for sure that's the experience, and no problem. But you design the experience.
yeah. Okay. So I can still go back and rewrite the narrative of
A
sorts.
1,000,000%. You could say whatever you want about what happened in the past,
Ah.
or what your experience was or wasn't about something.
But how does that necessarily change the belief of what experience actually did happen?
You're allowed to believe whatever you want to believe. And your recollection of any historical facts is extraordinarily limited.
Yeah, that's true.
Extraordinarily limited. You remember,
Yeah.
you draw these thread lines of talking about your history or your past or what happened here and there. On any given second, there's a gazillion things happening. You chose one of them and then linked it to the thread of the next one, and you drew the thread through the experience of what your experience was. You drew a linear thread that could be vocalized with words to talk about an experience that was thoroughly multidimensional while it was going on, as every second is. And then you called that the truth. It's just a line that got manufactured and then embellished and somewhat fabricated to become what you think is so. And that's completely okay. We all share that logistical flaw, but it's a major logistical flaw.
Yeah. I think the way that I'm going, but not going to, the way that it just kind of popped into my head is kind of like whenever light hits a prism and you get the gradient of light behind
dark
it.
side of the moon.
Yeah, just choosing a color, like just standing in front of the wall close enough to where I can only see one color and saying, this is my experience. And that was me way in the past, but now I'm actually able to stand back and look at more of those colors.
Yeah, the actual prism.
And I think that that's where a lot of power comes from, but I don't necessarily know because I'm still figuring it out myself.
You don't need to know.
Yeah.
This idea that you don't know is quite okay because hopefully you never will.
Ooh, I like that. Hopefully I never will.
Yeah, and there's not, because as soon as you do, you don't. That's why. Just like we've talked about. And it's just, as soon as you know something, you just became closer
Unknowing
to being
again.
dangerous.
So I've got to constantly unlearn. I've got to not know. I've got to undo all these things I've got.
People you want to stamp up and down like, no, I really know. I really know. I get it.
Yep. And I think that is one of the things that I need to work on. The biggest is just knowing that I don't know.
I think there's freedom there.
Yeah.
And you don't need to work on it at all if you don't want to, and you can, and it's not that much work. It's a nanosecond away at any given second. As soon as you think, it's like, you saw the math test, it said 3 times 4 minus 5, and you wrote 7, and then you look back and you're like, oh wait, maybe I'm not right. Maybe I'm not right. Better check this answer. Maybe I'm not right.
Yeah.
Maybe what you know that you know is subject to at least some flexibility of not being the truth. Maybe.
Being flexible. Being open-minded. Still, it's that weird paradox.
Yeah. It is a weird paradox. Yeah.
So, Dr. Fred, I do realize we are actually over time.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
So everyone out there, I would like to thank you all for listening to Retrieving Sanity on WDJY 99.1 FM. And Dr. Fred, it has been an absolute blast and an honor speaking with you as a human. And
Thank you.
I am looking forward to our next conversation. Don't go anywhere once I hit stop recording because
I know Riverside. I got you.
Gotcha. Sweet. All right. Well, with that, everyone, you have a great rest of your Sunday or whenever you're listening to this. And again, oh, wait, Dr. Fred, I forgot to ask you a question. Do you know a 3-digit number that someone can call if they're having suicidal ideations or other mental crisis? It isn't
811.
811?
Yeah.
Ooh. You're in Canada.
California.
California? Ooh. Oh, 811? Isn't that for digging?
Let me see which one it is. Which one do you think it is? What is the answer?
988.
That could be it. So
I think
I'm not in a
811
hurry. I'm not in a hurry to have people call those numbers. When you feel suicidal ideation, call somebody you love.
Ooh.
Don't
I
call
think that's
988. Call somebody who actually knows you.
Mm.
You know, talk to somebody who's already ready to embrace you for the beauty that you are. 988 or whatever number, you know, the trained professionals. It's how to answer a phone. But I'll tell you what, there's no chance that they will fill the bill of somebody who already knows and loves you.
Yeah.
That's where the connection is. It's not happening at 988. It's happening right here.
Yeah. And I mean, you've got a really good point.
That's what 45 years will get you an occasional good point.
At this point, you've got to have a chef's knife. But with that, thank you again, and we'll see y'all next week.
All right.
Shalon.
Bye.
And